Okay, so today we started talking about inequalities in class today. All right, we have 4 inequalities that we're going to see. All right, remember when we have those inequality symbols, we're using those because our equations are no longer going to be equal. Okay, so based on that, we have our less than, we got our greater, less or equal, and we have greater or equal. So those are the 4 symbols that you're going to need to be familiar with and comfortable with tonight. We're still dealing with equations. We're just not going to see any equal signs tonight. So h minus 12 is less than or equal to 31.4. Okay, so we're going to be given an equation. Our goal is still the same. Our job is to calculate and figure out what h is equal to. All right. And since this is still an equation, we get to keep our 2 rules that are in effect. We can do inverse operations. That tells us how to solve it. And then we need to make sure we apply the rule to both sides. All right, so those are the 2 rules that we've been following. So again, we look here, we know we got subtraction. So our opposite would be to add. Remember, we want to take our values away from our variable, so we're going to add 12 here. We want to apply that to both sides, so we're going to be adding 12 to the left-hand side of the equation. We want to bring our symbol straight down. 31.4 plus 12, that becomes 43.4. We have negative 12 plus 12, so those are going to cancel to 0, leaving us with our h all by itself. So now we have h is less than or equal to 43.4. Should look very familiar to you. It's exactly what we did the night before. Now the catch is then tonight, and we discussed this in class, that h represents a lot of numbers. We have a lot of numbers that are less than 43. So we have to create a visual, which means we are now beginning to graph our equations. So we need to create a graph for this. All right, so remember our rule here then, whatever number we come up with, when we solve, we're going to place that in the middle. H equals 43.4. So we want to graph that. 43.5, 43.3. We want to put the next number on each side. And now h is less than 43.4. That would be all the numbers to the left. So we are going to shade in our number line. And we want to make sure we shade in the arrow because it will continue forever. So now we have sort of a visual to represent what this is explaining to us, that h is less than or equal to 43.4. This visual basically tells us, hey, that's all the numbers to the left of 43.4. Okay? So we will be looking for both parts of this on your homework tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon when you guys come in. Okay? We'll look at one more. Throw some fractions in here, so we'll go 1/2 is greater than 3/4 f. Again, this is one we've been struggling with in class, all right, trying to decide what we have. All right, again, the variable is where we want to look. Well, here's our f. What are we doing with the f? We are multiplying by f. That's the symbol we're going to use here. That's the one that's going to tell us, okay, what's the opposite? All right. So instead of multiplying, we're going to divide both sides. All right, again, we want to go away from the f. So we're going to bring over the 3/4. Then we got to apply it to both sides. So we're going to divide by 3/4. We're going to divide by 3/4. Again, this big fraction bar here, all right, remember that is just another division sign. Okay? If you would prefer to use the traditional division sign, please feel free to do so. Okay? but we can do this. These are complex fractions. We've seen those back in chapter 3. All right, so 3/4 divided by 3/4. Bring down our inequality. All that's left here is an f. 1/2 divided by 3/4. Probably going to require some scrap work. Okay. 1/2 times our reciprocal. 4/6. Okay, so 4/6 is greater than f. Again, we need to create a visual, so we got a graph. 4/6, 3/6, 5/6. Okay, we're going to start at 4/6. Now, for this particular case, f does not equal 4/6 as it did up above. H equaled 43. All right, so we went ahead and graphed that with a full circle. This one is not equal, so we are not going to shade this in. We're going to leave it open. Okay, now what we have to decide though is, do we want to shade all the numbers to the left or to the right? And this one's not as obvious to us. Okay, so 4 is greater than, okay, if I bring the 3/6 up here, substitute it in there, does that make a true statement? 4 is greater than 3. Yes, it does. So that's the way we want to shade, because that works in our equation. Okay, as always, make your best guesses. I would rather fix homework problems tomorrow than tell you how to do it. Again, I would rather fix what you're thinking. All right, that way I can help you specifically. All right, have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.